So imagine you're in the middle of a war, and your only hope is a pigeon. Yeah, a pigeon. And she actually saves you and your battalion of 200 soldiers. This is the story of Cher Ami, the pigeon who did it all by itself. Now, this all goes down during World War I. It's October 1918, the final stretch of World War I. We're in France, deep inside the Argonne forest. Picture thick trees, muddy trenches, soldiers soaked in rain and fear. Total chaos. Now, the U.S. Army's 77th Infantry Division, that's about 500 soldiers, is given orders to move forward and take ground. So they head out deeper into enemy territory. But something doesn't go as planned. They push forward a little too far. The backup they were supposed to have, it never arrives. And the lines of communication, the ones they were using to stay connected with headquarters, suddenly go silent. They're surrounded, trapped between enemy lines. No one knows where they are. They have no food, no clean water. And then just when things couldn't get worse, it does. Their own army, not realizing where they are, starts firing artillery on them. Now they're being attacked from both sides by the enemy and their own people. The American artillery, thinking they're hitting enemy positions, is accidentally targeting their own troops. And the soldiers on the ground, they can't stop it. They can't even get a message out. Now the man in charge, Major Charles Whittlesey, is watching the situation spiral out of control. His men are getting injured or killed by the hour. German forces are closing in. Snipers are hidden throughout the forest, and above them, their own artillery is still firing. Major Whittlesey tries everything. He sends out messengers on foot, but they never make it. They're either captured or killed before they can deliver a word. So he turns to the only method left, homing pigeons. They've got a few left, trained to fly messages back to headquarters. He sends one out, doesn't make it, sends another, same thing, and now there's only one pigeon left, just one chance. So now, the only bird left is a small black and white pigeon named Cher Ami, which if you translate it from French, literally means dear friend. It's a sweet name, but this situation, anything but sweet. At this point, Major Whittlesey knows this is their last shot, so he sits down and writes one final message. Not a long one, just a few desperate lines begging for the artillery to stop. The message says we are along the road parallel to 276.4. Our artillery is dropping a barrage directly on us. For heaven's sake, stop it. It's simple, direct, and urgent. Basically, he's saying, you're f***ing us. Please stop before everyone here is gone. They carefully roll the paper up and place it inside a tiny canister, the kind that attaches to a pigeon's leg. Then they fasten the container to Cher Ami, steady her and release her into the air. And what happens next is almost impossible to believe. Cher Ami takes off into the air, wings flapping, message secured, flying straight toward American lines. But within seconds of leaving the ground, she's hit. Enemy soldiers spot her almost immediately and open fire. A bullet tears through her chest. One of her legs is severely injured, barely hanging on. Even one of her wings is damaged. Most birds wouldn't have made it past that first shot, but somehow she keeps going. This tiny pigeon, barely the weight of a soda can, pushes through the pain and keeps flying. She's not just flying blind either. She's flying through smoke, through open fire, through a literal battlefield, over forests, trenches, and active gunfire. She covers nearly 25 miles in just 25 minutes. She's injured, bleeding, and barely able to stay in the air. But against all odds, she makes it. Cher Ami didn't just reach the American headquarters. She crash-landed there, wounded, exhausted, and barely conscious. She hit the ground hard. She had lost one leg. She was bleeding from her chest. One of her eyes was badly damaged. But she had made it. The soldiers immediately rushed to her. They didn't waste a second. They opened the small canister strapped to her leg, pulled out the message, and read it. And just like that, the artillery stopped. The American troops realized they had been firing on their own men, and thanks to that message, they were able to correct their aim just in time. Because of Cher Ami, 194 soldiers survived. It's hard to believe, but it really happened. A pigeon had just done what trained soldiers, messengers, and all their equipment couldn't. And here's what's even more incredible. Even after all that, the flight, the injuries, the crash, Cher Ami didn't give up. She was still alive. And from that moment on, the soldiers didn't just treat her like a messenger bird. They treated her like a true hero. They even made her a tiny wooden leg to replace the one she lost, a small gesture for a bird who had done something extraordinary. After Cher Ami's crash landing, the Army's medical team treated her like she was one of their own. They didn't see just a bird, they saw a hero. Medics carefully stitched up her chest wound. They cleaned and dressed her injuries. They even crafted a small wooden leg to replace the one she lost during the flight. and soon, word began to spread. The story of this tiny pigeon who flew through enemy fire to save nearly 200 soldiers, it caught everyone's attention. The US Army recognized what she had done, and they didn't take it lightly. Cher Ami was officially honored. She was awarded the Croix de Guerre, a French military medal given for exceptional bravery under fire. It was the same honor given to soldiers who had risked their lives in combat. After the war, Cher Ami was brought back to the United States, not as cargo, but as a war hero. People lined up to see her. She was featured in newspapers across the country. Her name appeared in official military records and eventually in school textbooks. She had become more than just a pigeon. She was a symbol of courage, loyalty, and sacrifice. Now think about this for a second. You're a soldier in World War I, risking everything, and the pigeon flying next to you? She's the one who becomes famous. It's kind of ironic, but honestly, after what Cher Ami did, it makes sense. So what happened to her after the war? Sadly, about a year later, Cher Ami passed away from complications caused by her injuries. That flight through enemy fire had taken a serious toll on her little body. That chest wound, it had damaged muscle and bone. Her leg was gone, replaced with a tiny carved wooden piece. Her eyesight was affected too. She'd lost vision in one eye. And even though she was stable for a while, those injuries were just too severe. She passed away on June 13, 1919, less than a year after her historic flight. Most accounts say it was due to multiple complications, internal trauma, infection, and damage from the original wounds. She didn't die in battle, but she died because of battle, and when that happened, she wasn't forgotten. But even in death, she was treated with honor. They didn't just bury her somewhere in the woods. They chose to preserve her through taxidermy, so that future generations could remember what she did. And today, you can still see her. She's on display at the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C. Subscribe for War Heroes, and remember, we post twice a week, Sunday and Wednesday.